They thought it was a cargo ship, big, slow, and ready for the taking. In the dark of the Gulf of Aden, the pirate skiff sliced through the night. The engine screamed, the hull slammed against the waves, throwing up spray in the moonlight. Ahead of them, a massive shadow loomed on the horizon. No flags, no lights, just steel and silence. In the brutal logic of piracy, that meant one thing: a lone, unescorted freighter. An easy score. They were wrong. Less than 90 seconds later, that silhouette revealed itself. Not a container ship, not an oil tanker, but a floating fortress. The USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier of the U.S. Navy. The kind of ship that can launch fighter jets before the sun rises and carries more firepower than the combined armies of many small nations. What did the pirates have? AK-47s, a few RPGs. What did the Eisenhower have? Over 5,000 sailors, CIWS Sea-Whiz cannons, radar-guided missiles, fighter jets, and a simple policy: no quarter. The impending encounter wasn't going to be a duel, not a prolonged siege. It was going to be a lesson, starting with a warning, ending with muzzles to faces and pirates prone on the deck of a U.S. rib. Because this is what happens when you pick the wrong ship. This is what happens when you dare to mess with a U.S. aircraft carrier. And for this group of pirates, it was going to be a very big mistake. Radar saw them first. Two small, fast-moving, low contacts, no AIS signals. In the Combat Information Center, CIC, of the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, screens glowed. Contact, two small targets, bearing 085, closing fast. In these waters, that meant only one thing: trouble was coming. The watch officer didn't need a second thought. Bridge, CIC, alert the flight deck. Launch a Seahawk now. Outside, the colossal ship awakened. Not a tired escort. This was the nerve center of an entire strike group. On the deck, yellow shirts cleared the way, red shirts checked weapons, blue shirts waved to the helicopter rotors. In less than 2 minutes, an MH-60R Seahawk roared, lifted off the deck, its blades tearing through the night. Inside, the door gunner was ready, radar active, eyes scanning for any unusual movement. Heading straight toward the approaching targets. Below, the two pirate skiffs split. One peeled off to the side, the other continued its direct approach toward the carrier. A divide and confuse tactic, textbook piracy. The captain's orders were brief: hold course, let them commit. From the air, the Seahawk pilot reported, threat posture, weapons clearly visible. That was enough for the Navy to abandon any assumption of benign intent. A second Seahawk launched. In the water, the destroyer USS Gravely deployed an RHIB carrying a VBSS, Visit, Board, Search, and Seizure Team, boarding specialists, body armor, M4s, flashbangs. The ship remained calm, orderly. But make no mistake, this was not passive waiting. In the U.S. Carrier's Dictionary, hesitation did not exist. From the pirates' perspective, still just a big ship. From the Navy's perspective, two threats inbound, and everything was already in place. 800 yards. The Seahawk helicopter dropped lower. The door gunner swiveled the M240 forward. No shots fired, just an unspoken reminder. You're in the wrong neighborhood, pal. The pirates didn't flinch. One man stood, shouldering something long, metallic. An RPG, confirmation, hostile intent, over the radio frequency. The pilot reported concisely, weapons in hand, continuing approach. On the USS Eisenhower, the captain didn't blink. Alongside the USS Gravely, two 11-meter RHIBs launched into the water. On deck, the VBSS team was ready. Body armor, helmets, M4s loaded, flashbangs clipped to their sides. This was not a negotiation team. This was SWAT on the sea, and they had permission to act fast and hard. The aircraft carrier didn't need to fire a shot. That was the escort's job. But if the situation escalated, the CIWS Sea Whiz was ready. Radar locked on targets like a hawk watching a mouse in an open field. The USS Gravely changed course, closing in on the flank, a chess move at 35 knots. One skiff attempting to outmaneuver 2 warships and a helicopter, a suicidal tactic. Above, the Seahawk gunner fired a warning burst, rounds ripping across the water, just ahead of the pirate skiff. The message was clear: turn back, or sink. The pirates began to react, but it was too late. The RHIBs surged forward like scalpels, cutting through the waves. One team blocked the front, the other blocked the rear. Loudspeakers blared, "Drop your weapons, hands up, immediately." Chaos. Panic. An AK was thrown overboard. One man stood frozen. Those who didn't comply were subdued in mere seconds. 30 seconds. That's all it took for the encounter to end. Weapons confiscated, pirates zip-tied, prone on the deck of the RHIB. The skiff towed behind. Area secure. The USS Eisenhower never slowed down, never deviated a single degree from its course. U.S. aircraft carriers don't need to handle every threat themselves. They have an entire team around them, and each of these bodyguards knows how to respond quickly, forcefully, and decisively. For the pirates, the moment of realization came very late. They hadn't just picked the wrong ship, they had picked the wrong ocean. But the story wasn't over, because for the U.S. Navy, neutralizing is just the first step. The next step, investigation, intelligence gathering, sending a message. The VBSS team transferred all pirates to the USS Gravely. A second Seahawk circled overhead, conducting thermal scans, taking photos, recording every detail, from painted markings on the skiff's hull, GPS location, to the type of communication equipment hidden inside. Discovery. The skiff wasn't just a typical pirate group. It had satellite communication equipment, encrypted radios, potentially linked to an arms trafficking route. The Eisenhower continued its mission. The flight deck still launched FA-18 Super Hornets. Maintenance crews still worked. No one outside the command center realized there had just been an interception at sea. For an aircraft carrier, this was just another day. But for the pirates, this was the day everything changed. The second skiff, remember it? The one that broke off immediately upon approach? It didn't escape either. A strike group UAV detected it 6 nautical miles away, loitering near a fishing vessel that was too clean to actually be fishing. Minutes later, the USS Mason, another destroyer in the formation, launched an RHIB. Result, 2 more pirates captured, a laptop seized, along with a pile of questions that would be answered in some command tent in Djibouti. The encounter, seemingly over, turned out to be just the tip of the iceberg. Data from the laptop, from the seized communication devices, went directly to the Eisenhower. In the command center, intelligence officers began piecing together the puzzle: coordinate data, radio frequencies, GPS signals, all overlaid on maps of smuggling routes, weapons flows, and pirate hotbeds from Mogadishu to Makalla. A strange frequency stood out. It matched previously intercepted communications near an illegal arms shipment from Eritrea. Bingo. This was no longer a random pirate attack. It was a link in a larger network. And with a network, that means there are more contacts, warehouses, transport routes, and financiers. The information was transmitted up the chain of command at lightning speed, from the Eisenhower, CENTCOM, AFRICOM, to coalition partners. Fast pace, standard procedure, because next time, the threat might not be RPGs, It could be UAVs, it could be man-pads, or worse, a decoy for a real strike. For the U.S. Navy, every encounter is a test, a way to map the entire swarm, not just SWAT 1B. Let's be clear about one thing. A U.S. aircraft carrier is the worst possible target an aggressor can choose. Attacking a carrier is like bringing a butter knife to a tank fight. Except, this tank floats, launches fighter jets, and has its own zip code. The Eisenhower, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, is over 1,000 feet long, houses nearly 5,000 sailors, and can launch a fully armed FA-18 every 25 seconds. But a carrier is never alone. It's accompanied by a strike group, destroyers, cruisers, submarines, supply ships, helicopters, UAVs, and skies full of fighter jets. A mobile city of war. Weapons, CIWS CIWS, 4,500 rounds per minute, radar-guided, crushing any approaching target, ESSM missiles, anti-aircraft, anti-missile, anti-anything you dare bring close, MH-60R helicopters, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, and E-2D Hawkeye, the all-seeing eyes that scan farther than the visual range of many small nations. You don't surprise an aircraft carrier, you are detected, tracked, and locked on before your engines reach maximum speed. And the terrifying part? In this incident, they didn't use even 1/10 of their capabilities. A carrier can launch UAVs, fire warning flares, deploy fighter jets, drop Marines, or, if necessary, unleash destructive fire in seconds. But this time, it wasn't needed. The threat was too small compared to the response capability. Almost comical. A carrier strike group controls airspace the size of Texas. If they let you get close, it's because they want to see what you'll do. And if that move is even slightly hostile, game over. For the U.S. Navy, capturing pirates isn't the end, it's just the beginning. Step 2. Turning the adversary's mistake into an intelligence goldmine. In the USS Eisenhower's command center, analysts went to work, RPG launcher, serial number checked, origin traced, satellite phone, disassembled, plugged into signal analysis machines, every coordinate from Seahawk sensors stored, compared with smuggling routes, arms flows, and pirate group activities from Somalia to Yemen. Even the fuel cans on the skiff were sampled. The result? A radio frequency matching intercepted communications near an arms smuggling incident from Eritrea months prior. The connection was made. This changed the entire perception of the incident. No longer a random act of piracy. This was part of a network. And with a network, that means there are more contacts, warehouses, transportation routes, and financiers. Data was transferred up the chain of command at light speed. From the Eisenhower, CENTCOM, AFRICOM, to intelligence cooperation centers in Bahrain and Djibouti. As the data flowed through the system, satellites had already shifted orbits. UAV grids were redeployed, and Allied ships along the shipping lanes were notified. For the U.S., every incident is an opportunity to look beyond the immediate target. Because today it was just a few pirates with RPGs. Tomorrow, it could be suicide UAVs, it could be man-pads, or worse, a pre-staged trap to lure the strike group into revealing its position. At sea, there are no small incidents. Every contact is considered a test, and the Navy will map the entire beehive before the bees can even fly. Sunrise. The sea was calm again. The USS Eisenhower had never slowed down, never missed a flight operation. Coffee was still hot. Fighter jets were still launching continuously. But beneath that calm surface, the entire region had changed. The encounter had triggered a chain reaction. Satellites repositioned. Communication channels flagged. Allied ships warned. The message wasn't just for a few pirates tied up in the ship's brig. It was sent to anyone watching. anyone who thought a U.S. aircraft carrier was an easy target. The message was written not in words, but in speed, precision, and overwhelming power. We see you. We intercept you. We learn from you. Next time, you won't get a chance. The ripple effect was immediate. Smuggling communication channels went silent. Suspicious radio broadcasts disappeared. Even shipping lanes near Somalia held their breath for a few days. Because when the U.S. Navy responds, they don't put up a warning sign. They make an example. For the pirate group, this mistake was a one-way ticket to a holding cell. For others watching, it was a reminder that the sea doesn't forget, and the U.S. Navy is always watching. As the aircraft carrier continued its forward course, only one thing was certain. Next time, if someone dares to try, they won't live to learn from it.